Welcome to Dr. Chem's Cinematic Masterclass. Today, we are diving straight into the chemistry of excess reactants. It's an explainer on one of the absolutely most crucial, yet kind of misunderstood concepts in stoichiometry, calculating exactly how much of your excess reactant is left over when a chemical reaction finally comes to a stop.
So let's start off with a really simple culinary puzzle to perfectly illustrate how to spot a limiting reagent problem. We're going to do this before we even touch a chemical equation. Imagine you're having some friends over for lunch, right? You check the fridge and you've got 40 slices of cheese and 16 slices of bread. Just keep those numbers in your head for a second because figuring out exactly how many sandwiches you can make and what you're going to have left over is literally the exact same logic chemists use in the lab every single day. Okay, moving on to section 1. The sandwich stoichiometry secret.
Let's break this down into steps. Step 1 is writing out your recipe. In chemistry, that's your balanced equation. So 2 slices of bread plus 1 slice of cheese yields 1 sandwich. Now, step 2, identifying that limiting ingredient. If you need 2 slices of bread per sandwich, well, your 16 slices of bread will only make 8 sandwiches. You are completely out of bread. Finally, step 3, we calculate the leftovers. Since you only used 8 slices of cheese for those 8 sandwiches, you subtract that from your starting pile. That leaves a massive stack of 32 ungrilled cheese slices just sitting right there on the counter.
Which brings us to section 2, defining the excess reactant. So what's the formal definition here? Well, the excess reactant is the reactant that is not completely consumed in a chemical reaction. Basically, some of it remains after the limiting reactant runs out. Just like our cheese, once that limiting reactant is completely gone, the chemical reaction abruptly stops. It just can't continue. And that leaves the excess reactant entirely untouched, just floating around in your mixture.
Let's quickly contrast our two major players here. The limiting reactant dictates the theoretical yield, meaning the absolute maximum amount of product you can make because, well, it gets completely consumed. The excess reactant, on the flip side, just sits around unreacted and partially remains. So the absolute key takeaway is that you cannot calculate how much excess you have left over until you first identify the limiting reactant that's controlling the whole system.
Let's visualize this at the atomic level. Imagine a reaction between hydrogen gas and chlorine gas to produce hydrochloric acid. When the hydrogen molecules run out entirely, they govern the reaction. They're the limiting factor. And because they run out, those chlorine molecules are left completely stranded with literally nothing to react with. That leftover cluster, that is your excess reactant.
All right, section 3, finding the limiting reactant.
Now, you absolutely have to remember this golden rule. Never assume the reactant with fewer moles is limiting. The mole ratio from the balanced equation decides which one runs out first. Honestly, this is a massive trap for AP chemistry students. You have to use the balanced equation's coefficients. Why? Because even a chemical with a huge starting mass might run out first if the recipe demands a ton of it, just like our sandwich required twice as much bread as cheese. So identifying the limiting reactant really just means finding what is present in the smallest stoichiometric amount, taking that specific ratio into account. Think of it as the master key. It unlocks the maximum amount of product you can make, which we call the theoretical yield. And once you've nailed that down, the rest of the puzzle pieces just fall right into place. Moving on to chapters 4 and 5, calculating the excess and the subtraction step.
The actual procedure here is beautifully simple. It's really just 2 steps. Step 1 is a stoichiometry calculation to find what we call the change amount. That just means calculating how much of the excess reactant actually reacted with the limiting reactant. Then, step 2 is a basic subtraction step. You literally just take that change amount and subtract it from your starting pile. That's it.
Let's look at real-world chemistry, industrial applications. Imagine we are synthesizing ammonia. It's a hugely vital process for global agriculture. In this specific scenario, let's say we've already done the baseline math to figure out that nitrogen gas is our limiting reactant. That automatically means hydrogen is our excess. So we know our nitrogen is going to run out, and we need to calculate exactly how much of that excess hydrogen remains after the whole reaction stops. To visualize this, chemists love using an ICE table. That stands for initial, change, and end. The true superpower of this table is how clearly it shows the relationship between the two elements. If you look at the change stage, the nitrogen is completely consumed. It hits 0 at the end. Because the nitrogen runs out, it dictates that exactly 5.20 grams of hydrogen is consumed. That 5.20 grams, that's our change amount from step 1.
So now we just breeze right into step 2,
By simply subtracting the 5.20 grams of hydrogen that actually reacted from the initial amount of hydrogen we started with, boom, we find that exactly 1.38 grams of hydrogen gas are left over. And there you have it. That is your excess remaining amount. So the absolutely crucial point to take away from this explainer is to always follow this structured path whenever you face a stoichiometry problem. First, balance the equation. Second, convert your starting amounts to moles. Third, divide by those coefficients to identify your limiting factor. Fourth, calculate the excess consumed, that's your change amount. And finally, subtract the consumed from the initial to find your remainder. Follow those steps and you'll nail it every time.
But, why does all this actually matter in the real world? How does this math prevent environmental disasters? Well, it's not just about passing an exam. Understanding exactly what is left over in a reaction is exactly how scientists engineer zero-waste chemical plants and protect our ecosystems from toxic runoff. If an industrial plant leaves too much excess reactant, like, say, phosphorus, it ends up in our waterways and causes these devastating algae blooms. By mastering this math, chemists ensure efficiency and protect the environment. So the next time you mix two things together, ask yourself, what is really getting left behind?